The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with light that bounced off the scales, feathers, and polished exoskeletons of 100 alien species. In the center of it all stood Jia Kim, doing her best not to stare at anyone for too long. "Remember," her father whispered, 3 seconds of eye contact is polite. "Any longer, and the Moriki think you want to fight them." Jia nodded. At 23, she had spent half her life in these halls, following her father from one diplomatic post to another. Ambassador Da Kim was Earth's voice in the stars. Jia was his shadow, his helper, and sometimes his secret weapon. "The Terek delegation is coming," Da said. "Be ready." Jia straightened her simple blue dress. The Terek were bug-like aliens with clicking mouthparts that made their speech hard to understand. But Jia had a gift. Where others heard clicks and hisses, she heard words. Languages came to her as easily as breathing. "Ambassador Kim," the lead Terek buzzed, its antennae twitching. "We are pleased by your presence." Day bowed. "The honor is ours." The Terek turned to Jia, clicking rapidly. "Your offspring has grown. Has she found a profession yet?" Before her father could answer, Jia replied in perfect Terek speech, her mouth making sounds humans weren't supposed to make. The Terek's compound eyes widened. "Impressive. Few humans master our tongue." Jia smiled. "I enjoy learning the languages of our galactic friends." The Terek seemed pleased and moved on. Her father squeezed her shoulder with pride. "That's my girl. Keep making those connections." Humans needed all the friends they could get. Earth had joined the Galactic Council only 30 years ago. They were newcomers, with simple ships and no special powers. Other species had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. They looked at humans the way adults look at children, with some kindness, but little respect. Jia moved through the crowd, picking up bits of conversation. Her small AI companion, Siuk, floated near her shoulder like a silver golf ball. It recorded everything she heard. "The council should never have admitted the humans," a tall bird-like alien muttered to its companion. "They barely understand gravity manipulation." Jia pretended not to hear. This was normal. Humans were often talked about, rarely talked to. She made her way to the drink table when she noticed them. 3 Vorax delegates huddled in the corner. The Vorax were powerful, with rough gray skin and eyes that never blinked. Their empire controlled 20 star systems. They didn't like humans much. Jia moved closer, pretending to admire a floating ice sculpture. The Vorax were speaking their native language, which few non-Vorax understood. Jia did. "The artifacts have been located," one said. "We must secure them before anyone learns what they mean." "What if the lion truly awakens?" asked another. "Impossible. No one remembers its name. Without the name, it sleeps forever," the third replied. "Be silent," the first one hissed. "Even these walls have ears." They moved away, their conversation shifting to boring trade matters. Jia stayed still, her heart beating fast. "Siuk," she whispered to her eye. "Did you record that?" The small silver sphere pulsed with blue light. "Yes, Jia. But I advise caution. The Vorax do not like being spied on." "I wasn't spying. I was standing here, and they were talking." "About a lion," Siuk said. "There are no lions in space, Jia." "It's not a real lion," she said. "It's something else, something they fear." Across the room, her father was deep in conversation with the council head. Earth needed better trade rights, more access to advanced technology. Da Kim fought daily for humanity's place among the stars. One of the Vorax looked back and caught Jia's eye. Its face hardened. "We should return to your father," Siuk suggested. Jia nodded and started walking. But her mind raced with questions. What was the lion? Why did its name matter? And why did the mighty Vorax seem afraid of it? She didn't know it yet, but she had just heard the first whisper of a storm that would shake the galaxy. And somehow, she would be at its center. 2 weeks after the reception, Jia sat in the back of the council chamber. Her father stood at the speaking platform, asking once again for Earth to receive mining rights in the Ta system. The people of Earth need these resources, Dag Kim said. We have followed all proper channels. The council head, a blue-skinned alien named Vos, looked bored. Your request is noted, Ambassador Kim. The council will consider it alongside other matters. Jia knew what that meant. They would do nothing. Again. As her father returned to his seat, his face tight with anger, Jia touched his arm. They'd never listen, he said quietly. They will someday, she replied. After the session, Jia went to the Great Archive. This massive library held records from 1,000 worlds. As a diplomat's daughter, she had reading rights but rarely used them. Today was different. I need information on something called the Lion, she told the archive. The system hummed. No records matched that search term. Jia frowned. Try sleeping guardians or ancient protectors. No records matched those terms either. Strange. The Voraks had clearly been worried about something real. Jia wandered deeper into the archive, past glowing data crystals and hover shelves filled with alien books. In the oldest section, she found texts that were actual paper and ink. Some were so old they were kept in special cases. One caught her eye. A small book with a worn cover. The label said it was written in pre-council standard, a language dead for 3,000 years. Jia carefully opened the case and lifted the book. The writing inside looked like tangled vines, but to her, it made perfect sense. She began to read. The Guardians watch over all young races, one passage said. Each Guardian takes a form from its ward's myths. For some, they are dragons. For others, great birds. For the world called Earth, the Guardian sleeps in the form of a lion. Jia's heart raced. She read on. When darkness threatens, speak the lion's name, and it shall wake to protect its children. But beware, once woken, the Guardian will not sleep again until all threats are gone. Jia took pictures of the pages with her personal device. The archive wouldn't notice that. Later that day, she met her friend Han at a small cafe near the human quarter. Han studied old alien ruins. A xenorchaeologist, he called himself. His eyes widened as she showed him the pictures. This is incredible, he said. These Guardians, I've seen hints of them in ruins, but nothing this clear. The Voraks are looking for artifacts about them, Jia said. They mentioned the lion specifically. Han looked worried. The Voraks don't like competition. If these Guardians were real, and one was tied to Earth, then the Voraks would see humans as a threat, Jia finished. They were interrupted by Jia's communicator. Siok's voice came through, sounding urgent. Jia, you must return immediately. Your father has collapsed. At the medical center, Jia stood by her father's bed. Dag Kim lay still, breathing machines keeping him alive. The poison is unknown to us, the human doctor said. It was designed to look like a stroke. Poison, Jia whispered. Who would do this? But she already knew. Her father had been at a private meeting with Vorak's trade representatives just before he collapsed. Han arrived, out of breath. Jia, have you seen the news? The Voraks have taken control of the Ta mining rights, the same ones your father was requesting. Siok hovered near Jia's shoulder. The timing suggests a connection. Jia touched her father's hand. His skin felt cold. They think they've silenced Earth's voice, she said, but they're wrong. She thought of the book and what she'd read about the lion. I need to find someone who knows more about these Guardians, she told Han. Someone outside the Council's control. I might know someone, Han said. An old Korean man named Ryun. He lives on a border world, collecting banned knowledge. Jia looked at her father, then back at Han. Take me to him. She didn't know how, but she felt certain that finding the lion was now the only way to save her father, and maybe all of humanity. The border world of Nex 5 was nothing like the clean, shining halls of the Galactic Council. Here, The buildings were low and dirty. Aliens of all kinds walked the streets, many of them outcasts or criminals. "Stay close," Han said as he led Jia through a crowded market. "Ryan lives at the edge of the settlement." Jia pulled her hood lower. Without her father's protection, she was vulnerable. The news had spread quickly. Earth's ambassador was in a coma, and the Voraks were moving ships toward human space. "Are you sure we can trust this Ryan?" she asked. Han nodded. "He left Earth 50 years ago. They say he found knowledge the Council wanted hidden. Instead of giving it up, he ran." They reached a small house at the end of a narrow street. It looked ordinary, but Jia noticed small symbols carved around the door. They were in that same ancient language she had read in the archive. Han knocked. After a long wait, the door opened slightly. "Go away," said an old voice. "Master Rian," Han said, "I am Hanley from the University of New Seoul. This is Jia Kim. We need your help." "Kim." The door opened wider. An old man with a long white beard looked at Jia closely. "Ambassador Kim's daughter." Jia nodded. "My father has been poisoned. I think it's connected to something called the lion." Ryan's eyes widened. He pulled them inside quickly and shut the door. The house was filled with books, data crystals, and strange artifacts. Ryan moved slowly to a chair and sat down. "I knew this day would come," he said. "I just hoped it wouldn't be in my lifetime." "What day?" Jia asked. "The day the Voraks discovered the truth about the Guardians." Ryan picked up a small box from a shelf. "They've always feared that one might wake up." "So the Guardians were real?" Han asked. "Are real," Ryan corrected. "They're not dead, just sleeping." He opened the box and took out a small crystal. It glowed with a soft golden light. "Before the Galactic Council, before the Voraks Empire, the Guardians protected young species across the galaxy," Ryan explained. "They were powerful beings who could change their shape. Each chose a form from the myths of the species they watched over. Earth's guardian chose a lion," Jia said. Ryan nodded. "The oldest stories speak of a great golden lion that fought off invaders from the stars. When humans grew strong enough to protect themselves, the lion went to sleep. It said it would return if we ever faced a threat we couldn't defeat." "How do we wake it?" Jia asked. "That's the problem," Ryan said. "A guardian can only be woken by its true name. Not a simple name like lion, but its actual name in the first language ever spoken." He held up the crystal. "This contains a fragment of the lion's name, just a few sounds in a language no living being can speak correctly." "I can try," Jia said. "Languages come easily to me." Ryan looked at her with surprise. "You're a speaker. I thought that bloodline had died out." "A what?" "A speaker. Humans with the gift to learn and speak any language, even impossible ones." Ryan leaned forward. "The last speakers lived thousands of years ago, when the lion still walked among us." He placed the crystal in Jia's hand. "This is dangerous knowledge. The Voraks killed my friends to find these fragments. They fear what would happen if the lion woke." Suddenly, Siak flew in from the window where Jia had left him to keep watch. "3 Vorax ships have entered orbit," the AI reported. "They're scanning for human biosigns." Ryan stood quickly. "They'd found us. You must go now." "But I don't know how to use this," Jia said, holding up the crystal. "The crystal responds to your voice. Speak to it when you're safe." Ryan moved to a hidden panel in the wall. "This tunnel leads to the spaceport. Han, is your ship ready?" Han nodded. "Always." Ryan looked at Jia one last time. "Find the lion's resting place. The crystal will guide you. And remember, the Voraks fear the lion for good reason. Once woken, it will not rest until all threats to humanity are gone." As they rushed into the tunnel, Jia heard explosions from above. The hunt had begun. Han's ship, the Star Jumper, was small but fast. As they broke away from Nex 5, 3 larger Vorax ships followed close behind. Can we outrun them? Jia asked, holding tight to her seat as the ship shook. Not for long, Han said, his hands moving quickly over the controls. Their ships are better than ours. Siak floated between them, its blue light blinking rapidly. I am detecting a transmission from the Galactic Council. The Voraks have officially accused humans of breaking treaty rules. What? Jia couldn't believe it. We've done nothing wrong. The truth doesn't matter, Han said. They need a reason to attack human worlds. This gives them one. A blast hit their ship, making the lights flicker. Alarms began to sound. Engine damage, Han reported. We need to land somewhere. Jia looked at the star map. There. She pointed to a small planet marked as uninhabited. Can we reach it? Han nodded and turned the ship toward the planet. Hold on. They entered the atmosphere with the ship barely under control. Trees and mountains rushed past the windows. With a final hard turn, Han brought the ship down in a clearing. The landing was rough, throwing them against their safety belts. When the dust settled, Han checked the systems. The engines are dead. We're stuck here. Jia took out the crystal Rian had given her. Maybe this wasn't bad luck. Rian said the crystal would guide us. The crystal glowed brighter as she held it, pulsing with golden light. It's reacting to something, she said. She turned slowly, and the light grew strongest when she faced east. This way. They gathered supplies and left the ship. The planet was covered in thick forests, but as they walked, Jia noticed strange things. The trees grew in perfect lines in some places. The rocks were too smooth, too even. This planet isn't natural, Han said, touching one of the rocks. Someone built it. After hours of walking, they reached a clearing. In the center stood a tall stone structure. It was covered in the same ancient writing Jia had seen in the archive book. This is Guardian writing, Han said with excitement. This whole planet might be a Guardian outpost. Inside the structure, they found a large room with a stone table in the center. On the walls were star maps showing the galaxy as it looked thousands of years ago. Jia placed the crystal on the table. It floated up and projected light onto the wall, showing a map of stars with one point glowing brighter than the rest. That's our solar system, Han said. That's Earth. Siak scanned the projection. The specific location appears to be a mountain range on the Asian continent. Jia felt a mix of surprise and understanding. The lion's resting place is on Earth itself. That's why the Voraks are suddenly so interested in human space. As she reached for the crystal, they heard a noise outside. Han looked through a small opening in the wall. Vorak ships, he whispered. At least 3. They found us. Jia grabbed the crystal and put it in her pocket. We need to get back to Earth. The lion is there. There's no way out, Han said. They've surrounded the building. The door to the chamber crashed open. 5 Vorak soldiers entered, weapons pointed at them. Behind them walked a taller Vorax with markings on his gray skin. I am Commander Call, he said. You have something that belongs to us. It doesn't belong to anyone, Jia said. Call smiled, showing sharp teeth. Brave words from a member of such a weak species. He stepped closer. Give me the crystal, and I might let your colonies live. Refuse, and we will destroy them one by one. Jia looked at Han, then at Siak hovering nearby. They were trapped, but the crystal felt warm in her pocket. Somehow, she knew the lion was trying to help them. She just needed time to understand how. What are you afraid of, Commander? She asked. What do you think will happen if the lion wakes up? Call's smile disappeared. You have no idea what forces you're playing with, human. You're coming with us, Commander Call said, motioning his soldiers forward. But before they could reach Jia and Han, the floor beneath them shook. The walls of the ancient structure began to glow with golden light. What's happening? One of the Vorak soldiers cried out. Siok darted between the Voraks, creating confusion. In that moment, the stone table in the center of the room split open, revealing a hidden passage. Run, Han shouted, pulling Jia toward the opening. They jumped into the passage as the Vorax fired their weapons. The shots hit the walls, causing more shaking. As Jia and Han disappeared into the tunnel, the ceiling began to collapse behind them, blocking the Vorax from following. The tunnel led deep underground to a small room with a single pod. It looked like an escape craft of some kind, but much older than any technology Jia had seen. "It's Guardian tech," Han said, examining the controls. "I think it's still working." Siak scanned the pod. "It appears to be a transport system. I detect energy readings similar to jump gate technology." The crystal in Jia's pocket glowed brighter. When she took it out, it floated toward the pod and fit perfectly into a slot on the control panel. The pod hummed to life. "I think it wants to take us to Earth," Jia said. They climbed inside, and the pod sealed shut. There was a moment of pressure, then darkness, then a flash of light. When the pod opened again, they were in a completely different place. "Where are we?" Han asked, looking around. They had arrived in a cave. Cold air surrounded them. Through an opening, they could see snow-covered mountains. "We're on Earth," Jia said. She could feel it. "The Himalayas, I think." Siok confirmed her guess. "We are in the mountain range, sometimes called the roof of the world. This area has many legends about guardian spirits." They left the pod and walked deeper into the cave. The walls were smooth, not natural. This place had been made long ago. Han touched the wall. "These caves don't appear on any maps. They've been hidden for thousands of years." After walking for some time, they reached a massive door carved with the image of a lion. The door had no handle, no way to open it. Jia placed her hand on the door. Nothing happened. Then she had an idea. "Siak, what's the genetic difference between humans and other species in the galaxy?" Siak hovered closer. "Humans have a unique DNA sequence in chromosome 7 that no other known species shares. The door needs human DNA," Jia said. She took out a small knife from her emergency kit and pricked her finger. A drop of blood fell onto the door. The stone lion's eyes glowed. The massive door slid open silently. Inside was a chamber larger than any they had seen before. In the center, suspended in beams of light, was a figure. Not a lion as they expected, but a being that seemed made of golden energy in a shape that was almost human. "The lion," Jia whispered. Symbols covered the walls, matching the fragment Rion had given her. They were parts of the lion's true name. Han's communicator beeped. He checked it, and his face went pale. "The Vorax fleet has reached Earth. They're attacking our outer colonies. Millions of people." His voice broke. Jia looked at the sleeping guardian. "How do we wake it?" Siak floated to one of the walls. "These symbols appear to be vocal patterns. They must be spoken in a specific sequence." "The name," Jia said. "I need to speak its full name." "Earth's defenses won't last long," Han said, checking his communicator again. "Our ships are being destroyed. Earth has maybe hours before the Vorax reach it." Jia looked at the sleeping guardian and then at the crystal, still glowing with its golden light. "Show me," she said to the crystal. "Show me how to speak the lion's name." The crystal pulsed and projected symbols onto the wall. The beginning of a sequence, a pattern of sounds no human had spoken in thousands of years. Jia studied the pattern, letting her speaker's gift work. The sounds were complex, beyond what human vocal cords should be able to make. But somehow, she knew she could do it. "I'm going to try," she told Han. "This is Earth's last hope." Jia stood before the walls of symbols, trying to make sense of them. The crystal floated beside her, glowing brighter with each passing minute. "The Vorax have destroyed the moon base," Han said, reading updates on his communicator. "Thousands dead. Earth's fleet is trying to hold them back, but they're too strong." Jia closed her eyes. She had to focus. The crystal pulsed with light, sending images directly into her mind. She saw Earth as it was long ago. Early humans looking up at the night sky. And watching over them, a beam of golden light shaped like a great lion. "The crystal is showing me things," she said. "I think I understand now. Humans weren't just protected by the lion. We were made by it." Han looked up from his communicator. "What do you mean?" "The lion shaped our evolution. It gave us our unique DNA, and it gave some of us the gift of language." Jia touched the wall of symbols. "That's why I can understand these when no one else can. I'm a speaker because the lion made my ancestors that way." Siak scanned the chamber. "This explains why humans developed so quickly compared to other species. We had help." The ground shook. Far above, they could hear explosions. "They're bombing the mountains," Han said. "The Voraks must know we're here. Their sensors detected the energy from this chamber." Jia knew she had to hurry. She studied the patterns on the wall, letting her mind absorb the impossible sounds. The beginning of the name came to her first. Sounds like water flowing over stones, like wind through trees, like fire crackling. She began to speak, her voice changing as it formed sounds no human should be able to make. The air around her shimmered. The sleeping figure in the center of the chamber stirred slightly. The beams of light holding it pulsed brighter. "It's working," Han whispered. Jia continued, moving to the next part of the name. These sounds were harder, like thunder, like mountains breaking, like stars being born. Her throat burned with the effort, but she pressed on. The chamber shook again, harder this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. "They're getting closer," Han warned. Jia reached the third part of the name. These sounds were almost impossible, like the space between galaxies, like time flowing backward, like the moment before creation. Her mind stretched to comprehend them, her voice straining to form them. The sleeping figure moved again. Its form shifted, becoming more lion-like. Its eyes remained closed, but its golden glow grew stronger. Han's communicator beeped urgently. "Jia," he said, his voice tight with fear. "The Voraks have broken through Earth's defenses. Their ships are entering the atmosphere. They're heading straight for us." Siak projected an image of the Voraks fleet. Dozens of warships descended through Earth's skies, weapons charging. "I need more time," Jia said between the difficult sounds. "The name is so long, so complex." The ceiling of the chamber cracked. A piece of rock fell, nearly hitting Han. "We don't have more time," he said. Then a new communication came through. The face of Commander Call appeared on Han's device. "We know what you're trying to do," Call said. "It won't work. The Guardian has slept too long. It has forgotten Earth, forgotten humans." His gray face showed no emotion. "Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick." Jia ignored him, focusing on the name. The fourth part was beginning to form in her mind. Sounds like hearts beating, like children laughing, like hope in darkness. As she spoke these new sounds, something unexpected happened. The walls of the chamber began to respond, echoing her voice, amplifying it. The ancient place was helping her, adding power to the name. The sleeping figure's golden glow intensified. Its form shifted again, becoming neither lion nor human, but something between and beyond both. Han looked at his communicator again. "The Vorak ships have locked weapons on this mountain. We have minutes, maybe less." Jia nodded, but didn't stop. She was halfway through the name now. The lion was stirring. And somewhere deep inside her, she felt a connection forming. A bond between herself and the ancient guardian, created long ago, waiting all this time to be renewed. The mountain shook as Vorax bombs hit the peaks above them. Rocks fell from the ceiling of the chamber. Han pulled Jia away just as a large stone crashed where she had been standing. "Keep going," he shouted over the noise. "Don't stop." Jia continued speaking the complex sounds of the lion's name. Each syllable made the sleeping figure glow brighter. Its form shifted between human and lion, never settling on one shape. Han checked his communicator. Earth's military is making a final stand. They're buying us time. On the small screen, they could see human ships fighting against the much larger Vorax vessels. The human pilots flew with courage, knowing they faced almost certain death. Gia spoke faster now, the fifth part of the name flowing from her lips. Sounds like oceans crashing, like planets turning, like life growing from nothing. The chamber walls glowed in response, the ancient symbols lighting up one by one as she spoke them. A loud explosion rocked the chamber. Part of the wall collapsed, revealing a tunnel. Through it came 5 Vorax soldiers with Commander Call behind them. "Stop her," Call ordered. The soldiers raised their weapons. Han jumped in front of Jia, shielding her with his body. The soldiers fired. Han cried out in pain as the energy blast hit his shoulder. "Han," Jia called, breaking the sequence of sounds. "Don't stop," Han gasped, falling to his knees. "Finish it." Siok darted forward, flying directly into the face of one Vorax soldier. It confused him long enough for Jia to pull Han behind a fallen rock for cover. Jia started speaking again, reaching the 6th part of the name. Sounds like steel breaking, like suns dying, like ancient oaths being kept. The sleeping figure in the center of the chamber began to rise, still held by beams of light. Its eyes remained closed, but its form grew more solid, more real. Commander Call stepped forward. "Enough of this. I will end it myself." He aimed a weapon at Jia, one much larger than those his soldiers carried. But before he could fire, Siok flew directly into the weapon's barrel. "For Earth," the small AI said. Then it exploded. The blast knocked Call backward. His weapon was destroyed, but so was Siok. Bits of the little silver sphere fell to the floor, dark and lifeless. "Seek," Jia whispered, tears in her eyes. "Keep going," Han said weakly, still bleeding from his wound. "We're so close." Jia forced herself to continue, moving to the 7th part of the name. Sounds like hearts breaking, like forgiveness given, like sacrifices honored. The remaining Vorax soldiers fired at the rocks protecting Jia and Han. Stone chips flew everywhere. One cut Jia's cheek, but she didn't stop speaking. Commander Call stood up, his gray face twisted with anger. "You don't understand what you're doing, human. The Guardians aren't protectors. They're judges. They decide which species live and which die. That's why you fear them," Han said. "Because the Vorax have much to answer for." "We rule by right of strength," Call said. "As we will rule Earth when this is finished." Jia reached the final part of the name. Sounds like dawn breaking, like truth revealed, like change shattering. The chamber filled with golden light. The beams holding the Guardian grew so bright that everyone had to shield their eyes. Call shouted to his soldiers, "Kill her before she speaks the final syllable." The soldiers moved forward, weapons raised. Han tried to stand but couldn't. Jia was exposed, defenseless. But she didn't stop. The last few sounds formed in her mind. The end of the name, the key that would fully wake the lion. As the Vorax soldiers prepared to fire, Jia spoke the final syllable. A sound like no other, ancient and powerful. The true ending of the lion's name. The chamber exploded with light. The sleeping figure's eyes opened at last, blazing like twin suns. And for the first time, in thousands of years, the lion was awake. The light in the chamber was blinding. The Vorax soldiers dropped their weapons and covered their eyes. Commander Call fell to his knees, his face showing fear for the first time. The being in the center of the room was no longer sleeping. It stood tall, its form shifting between human and lion, and something beyond both. It was made of golden light that flowed like liquid. Where its eyes should be, 2 suns burned. It looked at Jia, and she felt its gaze like warm sunlight on her skin. "Speaker," it said, its voice both inside her head and all around her. "You have called me from my sleep." "Earth needs you," Jia said. "Humanity needs you." The lion turned to look at the Vorax. Commander Call tried to back away, but couldn't move. "The Vorax," the lion said, "you have strayed far from the path set for you. We built an empire, Call said, his voice shaking. We conquered the stars. You were meant to be caretakers, not conquerors. The lion moved closer to him. You forgot your purpose. The chamber shook again as more bombs hit the mountain above. Your fleet attacks this world, the lion said. It wasn't a question. The lion raised a hand made of golden light. The chamber around them seemed to fade away. Ja could see the sky above, the Vorax ships firing on Earth, human fighters trying desperately to stop them. Then she felt something strange. The lion's consciousness expanded, touching every human device, every computer, every ship. Earth's defense systems suddenly worked together perfectly. Weapons fired with impossible accuracy, shields held against attacks that should have destroyed them. The Vorax ships began to fail. Their engines stopped. Their weapons wouldn't fire. One by one, they fell from the sky, not destroyed but powerless. What are you doing? Call demanded. I am protecting my children, the lion said, as I was made to do. The lion turned back to Ja and Han. It moved to Han and touched his wounded shoulder. The injury healed instantly. Thank you for guarding the speaker, the lion said to Han. It then bent down and gathered the broken pieces of Siak. The fragments floated up, surrounded by golden light, and came back together. Siak's blue light blinked on, and the small AI hovered once again. Your sacrifice is honored, little one, the lion said. Jaya felt tears on her cheeks. You saved them both. As you saved me, speaker. The lion looked at her with its sun-bright eyes. You woke me when I was needed most. The scene around them shifted again. Now Ja could see the Galactic Council chamber. The alien representatives were in panic as news of the Vorax fleet's defeat reached them. It is time to address the council, the lion said. Its voice boomed across space, reaching every world in the galaxy. Hear me, Council of Worlds. A guardian has woken. The balance will be restored. The council members froze in shock. Many of the older races recognized what the lion was. Some bowed their heads in respect, others in fear. Humanity stands under my protection, the lion declared. Any who threaten them, threaten me. Then the scene changed again, showing other sleeping guardians across the galaxy beginning to stir. You are not alone, speaker, the lion told Jia. Other guardians will wake now. The cycle begins again. 6 months later, Jia stood in the same council chamber, but this time as Earth's new ambassador. Her father had recovered from the poison, and now advised her. The humans were no longer ignored or dismissed. The lion rarely appeared in physical form anymore, but Jia could feel its presence, watching over humanity. The Vorax Empire had been reduced to its original borders. Commander Call and his soldiers were returned to their homeworld to face justice from their own people. Most importantly, the lion had shared with humanity the secret of awakening other guardians. Now, human speakers traveled the galaxy, helping forgotten and oppressed species find their protectors. Jia looked out at the council, no longer afraid. Humanity had found its voice in the stars, and any who threatened them would face the wrath of the lion, and all those who spoke its name.